All right, guys, welcome back to the Buck Fever podcast. As always, I'm Noah, and I've got Jake by my side here. And today we have a group of guests from Ahrens Boys Outdoors. We have Brandon, Riker, and Raiden. And we'll just start off by having you guys kind of introduce yourselves a little bit, introduce your channel, just kind of tell everybody a little bit about yourselves.
Okay. Boy, I don't know how to start. The channel started, it was just me, a few sturgeon spearing videos that from when we were younger. Put it on the channel. Didn't really have a name or anything. Got a bunch of views on one of our sturgeon videos. And then once my sons got old enough, we kind of all decided, hey, let's start a YouTube channel and put a name to it, and kind of just been plugging away videos here and there. Do a little bit of hunting, fishing, wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think according to YouTube, it says you maybe published your first video back in 2013, and I think that was just some sturgeon spearing content, if I remember correctly. And that, like you said, that's kind of how it started, and then it kind of morphed into something more from there, as the kids got a little bit older. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your kids? And I think you got them there with you, right?
Nope. So Riker is my oldest son. He's 11. He's been hunting. Well, he's been sitting with me and hunting since about 4. He went turkey hunting for the first time at 6. Almost shot a turkey, did not get one. He shot his first turkey at 7, and since then he's just got his 10th one last Wednesday.
Unreal.
So he's at 11. And he's got 3 bucks under his belt already, and a handful of does, and shot a bigger buck than I've ever shot. So with a bow.
Jeez.
And then my son Raiden, he's 9, and started hunting when he was 7. Got a couple turkeys under his belt and a few does. He's had a couple pretty close calls on some bucks, but they just kind of work out in our favor. So he hasn't got a buck yet, but he's still trying.
Yeah, that's all you can say, man. There's still plenty of time, I think, to get a buck under his belt. I mean, it sounds like, especially Riker. I mean, that kid has been he's been on fire. He's shot way more than I have.
You shot more than us combined, I think.
Yeah, holy cow! I think I saw you guys had a Facebook post out there. He's trying to go for 11 turkeys at 11 years old. Is that correct?
Oh, he really wants me to buy him one last bonus tag and go like a 5th season and see if he can do it.
Yeah, 5th season could be hot. That's got to be close to a record there. That's
that's
quite a few
insane.
birds.
He got 2 this year. He had 3 last year. Was maybe 3 the year before that.
Wow. Yeah, that's some
awfully,
good seasons
awfully lucky he has.
I'm gonna come hunt with you guys.
there. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of skill in there too. You can't just kill turkeys just by total luck.
Right.
So one of the things
We put a lot of time and effort in scouting, and
oh,
I mean
absolutely.
the neighbors by us must think we're crazy because we were literally make laps for hours just to see if we can catch a turkey in a field after he gets out of school and I get out of work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it's the ones who always look a little bit crazy, I find, that end up being the most successful.
Right.
So you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but one of the things that's unique about your YouTube channel is that you don't just focus completely on hunting and fishing and spearing, but you also have some wrestling content as well, because your boys are pretty big into wrestling, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I
They,
always... Go ahead.
No, yeah, both of them started when they were 4 years old in wrestling, which I was never a wrestler, and I watched my nephew do it when he was very young, and I don't know, for some reason I said, oh, maybe we should try this as a sport, and both of them have been doing it since 4 years old. Raiden's fifth year and Riker's sixth year, and they've been good at it.
Yeah, well, I've always found that, kind of nice that with your channel, it's not just about the hunting and the fishing, but those your boys kind of make up quite a bit of the content on there, and then you can also kind of keep up with some of the other things that they're passionate about as well. And I've always found that to be pretty cool. But obviously, turkey hunting, we're in that time of year right now. You guys have had quite a bit of success with that, so I think we want to just start there. Man, I don't know. Do you want to just kind of tell us about a couple of those really successful hunts that you've had?
Sure. Riker, you want to tell them about your you want me to tell them about the stop after your soccer game last year, that one?
So last year I had my soccer game, and after I went with my dad instead of going with my mom to look for turkeys, and my mom and brothers were on their way home, and they saw 2 turkeys out in this field, and I knew who owned it, so I went and asked them, but they weren't home. So then I went to ask relatives of them, and they said it's fine. So we pulled over to the side of the road, and I grabbed my gun and scoot and shoot, and then I crawled under the fence, and I popped up just over the hill, and the two came running. The 2 came running towards us, and I stood up, shot the one, and then the other one kind of like jumped and kind of like started running, and I shot the other one too.
Holy cow. Man, that takes some dedication right there. Jake and I just finally worked up the courage to ask people for permission like last year.
Yeah, and we're a little older than you.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, man.
Yeah, he's the one that goes up and asks for. I mean, we have a pretty big chunk of land around here that we hunt, that all the people around that he's asked.
Yeah, man, that's always really clutch if you got spots kind of picked out like that you can hit. I know that's what we try and do, is kind of as best we can. It's been a little bit difficult, but try and pattern them a little bit and kind of have some go-to spots, and you can really be pretty successful that way. But
if I'm not mistaken, that video was on your channel, correct, from last year?
That was on there. Yep.
Okay, yeah, I saw that one. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah, we have I usually clamp my GoPro like right in the front of the scoot and shoot decoy, but then this year for Raiden, we sat opening day. We had, I think, 17 jakes come in and a whole bunch of hens, and he did not want to shoot a jake. And then the next morning he ended up rolling a tom. He was pretty bummed about that, and about noon we decided to just take a little lap around, and we saw a bird out in the field. And with doing things with kids, it's a lot more difficult than you probably would think, or maybe it probably isn't. It's like, to do a scoot and shoot's tough enough how it is, to try to stay concealed.
Yep.
Get up on top of it, get up, try to get them to come at you or whatever, and stay concealed behind it. Well, like with Raiden, he's not strong enough to freehand a gun yet.
Okay.
Like Riker can, but he can't. So we snuck up over the top of this hill, and I had the decoy in my hand, and I just lifted it up enough where I could see the tail feathers, and I could see that it was coming our way. So I staked the decoy in, and we have like a Primos tripod. We got that all set up. He shoots a 410 with the TSS shot.
Oh, okay.
And I got that propped. I'm like, okay, I'm going to lift the decoy up again and look. So I lifted up again, and I could see it was like already half the distance coming at us. And so I staked it back in, and we're looking through the tail feathers, and I could see it run up over the top of the hill at us, and I'm like, "Do you see it?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "All right, well, you're gonna have to take a shot quick because it's gonna be literally on top of us." And it was 10 yards, and he
Oh,
shot it and rolled it. It was running full speed at us.
man.
So it's pretty intense. But yet, like I said, sometimes I forget the GoPros, and that was one of them where it was just we saw the bird, rushed out there, ended up sealing the deal on it. So that was pretty neat.
Nice.
It's typically what happens when you don't take a camera. Something really cool happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was one of the questions we had. Then you mentioned a couple times now your scoot and shoot, which is more of like a run and gun style. Is that like your primary go-to tactic, or do you guys hunt in blinds every now and then?
No, we primarily, I would say, like mornings, try to hunt a blind. Midday, we'll look around, see if there's any birds out, try to get them that way. And then we'll hunt nights, but sometimes like if I get home from work or whatever, like for instance, like after soccer when we can't hunt in the morning, we'll use a scoot and shoot. But I think four of his birds he shot with a scoot and shoot, and the rest have been sitting.
Yeah, that's a good mixture there. That's probably the way to go because, and it's kind of interesting. You had what, like a four for one, 6 for the other. So if you were dedicated solely to one tactic or another, it's all those birds that maybe you wouldn't have ended up getting if you had been, on the wrong tactic that day or in that situation. But that's the nice thing about having a mobile tactic in your tool belt, because then, like you said, when you're driving around and you spot one, that's not really a time for you to be able to set up a blind, put your decoys out, do that whole thing. You're gonna have to kind of go at them run and gun style. So that's
Right.
we've always found that's probably what we would say is the most fun.
Right. I think we need to upgrade to the scoot and shoot though, because I think it's more real than just our tail fans that we use, which we've had luck with. But I think the scoot and shoot gives you a little more area to hide behind too.
Yeah. Have you guys tried that just with the tail fan before?
Have not, no.
Okay.
Some of my friends have, but I just bought that, and it's nice. It's got a handle on it, easy to carry around. Like I said, if you try to have a kid with you behind it, it still isn't big enough if you have two people standing behind,
Right.
But it's nice. It's easy because you got that, and I can hold on to that, hold on to the tripod if I have Raiden with me.
Gotcha. So have you guys dabbled with any public land hunting at all for turkeys?
No, not for turkeys really. We just primarily try to hunt our own home. There's a lot of very generous landowners around here that mind letting, pretty much more so youth. I don't tend to even. I had a tag this year. I didn't even buy it because I'd rather have I'm at the point now. I'd rather have my kids go. So
Yeah.
and a lot of the landowners around here, they enjoy seeing kids. Enjoy seeing kids hunt. So, I mean, we literally stopped by the one day to give a landowner a gift card, and Riker just so happened to have his tag. That this was last Wednesday, and we saw top of a back of a turkey, and he gave him the gift card and asked the guy. He goes, "Hey, well, I have a tag this week. Do you mind if I go after that turkey?" And the guy's like, "You're just gonna walk out in my field and try to shoot that turkey?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay, well, 2 other guys went out there and they haven't been able to get it." And so we snuck along the back pines and came around the corner with the scoot and shoot, and it broke off of the hens that it was with, which doesn't primarily happen with toms. They stick with the hens, and it came right to the decoy. Shot it at like 15 yards.
Dang.
I think we need a scoot and shoot.
It's just
I think so.
He's extremely lucky. I have stories galore about, especially him with everything that he does in the outdoors.
So with all of these birds that you guys have gotten, then do you have like a preference as a way to eat them then?
My kids are pretty picky eaters.
Okay.
So literally every turkey that we get gets made into jerky.
Or it goes to friends.
Or friends, but most of it goes to jerky.
That's always good
we
too.
Slice it up, and my wife's got a marinade that we literally use for everything: goose, duck, everything. And we slice it up. She puts it in a marinade. We put it on the Nesco for 4 hours, and pretty much what we do with it, all of it.
Turkeys are one of those harder ones to cook to get them if you're not making jerky or whatever, because they're just so dry. And
right.
I know we get all ours just smoked and kind of like jerky, but
yeah, we've tried some different things. We've done like a barbecue, like a pulled turkey type of thing. Put it in the crock pot and let it go for a while and lather it up in barbecue sauce, and that's pretty good. We've tried to make it into basically like chicken tenders, but turkey tenders, and deep fry them, and that's been pretty tasty as well. So there's definitely some good options, especially for the picky eaters. But there's nothing wrong with turkey jerky, man. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, the kids eat it up pretty quick when we make it. So
yeah, then you just got to go out and get another one.
Yeah.
Oh man, how about let's hear one more crazy turkey story. What do you got for us?
Okay.
9 or 8?
Another good one.
Of 9?
You can do 2 if it's too hard to choose.
All right, and you want to do yours?
Oh,
which one?
I'm trying to think of another good one. Well, this year we'll just go off of year one. This year,
let's do it.
Because Riker's been so lucky, we have the last 2 years. I started doing a youth turkey camp at our house, where we have I know this year we had five youths.
My spot was the only spot that we never shot a turkey out in.
Yeah. Huh. So Riker kind of made the decision, got all the kids set up in different spots where there's a lot of birds hitting the area. And the one spot where there was nothing, Riker said, I'll just go sit there. And he sits with my dad. And literally, I got a text at 7:30 in the morning, big bird down. And it was, they saw one bird all morning. It came out into the field 400 yards away, lifted its head up, seen the decoys, and ran full speed 400 yards into the decoys and started running circles around the decoys.
In the morning, we forgot the chair, so when we got out there, it was almost light out, and the toms were already gobbling, and one was right next to us, but it flew the other way. And then there was 2 toms gobbling as they were walking away. And then the kid across the road shot twice at 6:30, and there was 3 toms over there, so I think one flew down into the woods over by us, and that popped out at the hill where we had our blind last year. And my grandpa said, there's a turkey, and he said it's running full speed, and I eventually saw it, and it was a big tom. But he put a tom decoy out, a jake, and 3 hens, and the tom was on the right, and it ran all the way around the decoys, so I'm guessing it didn't want to be by the tom. And then it fanned out and strutted in. But my grandpa put the decoy so close, it was 10 feet from the blind, so when the tom was in the decoys, it was really, really close. And I shot, and when, once we cleaned it, we found the wad inside it.
Oh wow!
Yeah, the water was stuck in the neck.
Okay, that must have been close then. Holy cow!
Yeah, it was pretty intense.
Have you ever been really close to one when it gobbles?
Yeah. And then in the afternoon, I went out with my uncle, and we had 4 Jakes come in, and a Tom, and a bearded hen, and 2 hens. But the Tom circled all the way around us, and the Jakes fanned out. Then they started like circling the decoys, and then the bearded hen came in and started attacking the hen decoy. So then the Jakes did, and I took like 30 videos on my uncle's phone, and it was all of them like gobbling like right in front of us.
Wow,
that's pretty cool.
So that's his luck. That's his luck. So he shot one in the morning, and nobody else in the youth group did.
Of course.
And then he decided he was just going to go out with my brother-in-law and just sit with no gun or anything. He was just going to sit, and he had 4 Jakes and a Tom and a bearded hen come in.
Oh my gosh.
And
They sat there for an hour.
yeah, they were there he had all kinds of video. The bearded or the Jakes beat up the decoy, and like it's just that's how his luck is a lot of times. It seems crazy, but
dang. What are your thoughts on
he just
Go ahead.
No, keep going.
What are your thoughts on those bearded hens? Like, would you want to shoot one? Would you try to avoid it?
I don't like shooting hens.
I would do it if it's like a really big one, but now I've shot so many I wouldn't.
Right.
Yeah, we had like one behind our house here a few years ago. And I think it's still in the area. It's got like a 9 or 10 inch beard, but I don't know. I wouldn't shoot one. I've seen a couple people that have shot, bearded hens, and you can see the egg development in them I don't know.
My first ever year, I had a double bearded Jake come in, and I didn't shoot it. And like, I think it was like 3 years later, we saw a double bearded Tom, like probably a couple miles down the road, and I think.
You think it was the same one?
Yeah.
No way. Man, how big were the beards? Was it like a big beard and then a little beard, or were they both good size?
They were both big.
They were both big.
Dang. Let them grow, man.
We called that one the ghost turkey.
Because there was like 4 different people that shot at it and no one killed it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like you could see all the feathers.
One girl down the road actually got 2 cracks at it, and she didn't hit it either time.
Dang.
She borrowed Riker's gun, and then she blamed it on Riker's gun. Like she missed it. It's like, well, his track record says different, but
yeah, I don't know, man. Oh yeah, well, what's up for the rest of the season then? Are you just gonna maybe try 5th season? Are you gonna try and get out a couple more times?
We don't have any more like. Raiden and I had first season. Like I said, he hunted. He had some pretty good chances at another turkey. But he got the one the youth season. Because the way I always buy a leftover tag, and we use the bonus tag for youth, and then I apply. Raiden had first season. Riker had second. And then my tag was also first, and I never ended up buying I got it, but I never bought it.
Gotcha.
If we did go out any more turkey hunting, it'd probably be 5th season, but I don't know. They'll probably talk me into buying one.
I think so. It sounds like you might have to, man.
Right.
Yeah.
He told me for the youth hunt that he wasn't gonna buy me an extra season tag, and the day before, I said, "Will you get me one?" And he said, "Sure."
Yeah.
You got to get 11 at 11, man.
Yep.
We're way behind if we're going for that.
Yeah. No, I'm in big trouble there. I'm not going to be able to keep up. No way.
He's got me beat, so I don't.
He's probably got a lot of people beat. It's a lot of turkeys.
Sure.
Well, so the way that you guys kind of got started in your channel and everything, obviously, was sturgeon spearing, and I know that always gets beat to death when it's that time of year. But I feel like between that being how you guys got your start, and then your involvement with one of the big Facebook groups, I feel like we'd kind of be doing a disservice if we didn't touch on spearing a little bit here. But that the Facebook group, that's an interesting thing there, and I don't necessarily have the story straight, so I don't want to put any words out there, but you want to tell me about that a little bit?
That was random. I live and breathe sturgeon spearing. Like, since I've been a little kid. I mean, I grew up on the North Shore of Winnebago. I went out with my grandpa and my dad and my uncles from when I was little. And once I'm like, there really wasn't any good Facebook group at the time for sturgeon spearing. And I'm like, I really want to I feel like it'd be fun to get a group of people together. So I started it, and I thought maybe I'd get a couple hundred people, to join the group.
Sure.
And then it blew up there for a while. I mean, it's pretty big now. It's so hectic with with kids now that it's tough to keep up with it. I ran it for a while by myself, and then I now have a few other guys that help, but there's people on it. It's tough to keep up with it.
Well, man, it's a pretty cool thing, because just about everybody I know who spears is a member of that group, and there's a lot of benefits to it. You get to see a lot of cool pictures. There's the spread of information there, where people can kind of share if there's bad ice in a certain area, so there's that safety element of it too. But that thing, like you said, has just really, really grown in popularity over the years, especially just as kind of a random thing, like you said, to just, hey, I want to, start this thing and get some people in a group and share stories and pictures and all that for it to turn into what it has been. That's pretty cool, man.
I mean, I don't know how long you guys have been a part of it, but like when it first started, I mean, I did a sturgeon. You guys were in the sturgeon pool, right? I don't know if.
Yep.
Sturgeon pool for a few years. I mean, the one year was like, I think the person that took first place in that got like $2,500.
Jeez, dang.
I mean, it was, we did a lot of drawings of, shacks and saws and spears and decoys. I always try to help out like all the local people, like the local spear makers and decoy makers, try to promote all the cool stuff that goes along with sturgeon spearing. I mean, it's such a cultural thing. It's just cool. That was one thing I loved about the page, is like you meet so many people you'd never have known even existed. And then,
yeah. Well,
like my decoy collection is pretty extravagant now, of decoys that I don't even never actually put down a hole. And I would hate to even have my wife listen to this podcast and say how much I spent on some of them. That'll never see a sturgeon hole.
We can edit that out. Don't worry about it. We won't tell.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's the War Pig one. War Pig started, that was like the original video. Another guy I know called a sturgeon a war pig one time, and it kind of stuck, and I yelled it in a video one time. So Ryan Ebert, who's a bait maker, I think he lives over by Fort Atkinson, kind of amazing bait maker or decoy maker. I mean, his decoys are they're awesome. He tests every one of them, and they move great in the water. But he made a war pig, and he gave me first shot at it, and I bought it.
Nice. So is that kind of your go-to as far as decoys go? I know everybody's got their thing, and some people switch it up all the time. Some people are like religious about what they're gonna put down there. Do you guys usually do like a true sturgeon decoy, or is it some sort of other object?
We have literally put down just about everything. I mean, basically the white coffee cup.
Yep. That's a staple.
Probably more sturgeon have decoyed to that than anything else that we've had. Copper jello mold.
Yeah.
Like all of the other decoys, like Ryan Ebert's got awesome decoys. Chris Gittner's got awesome decoys. Like, I'm just a fanatic about everything about the whole sport.
Sure.
I pretty much lose sleep for the month and a half leading up to sturgeon spearing. As soon as I can get on the ice.
Yeah. It has that effect on people. I don't know what it is necessarily. We've tried to put it into words before, but there's something about sturgeon spearing that really, really gets people's blood going. So, how old were the kids when you got them involved in spearing?
Spearing?
I was probably like 4.
Riker was probably 4 or 5 the first time he came out. I think Raiden was probably about the same age. He doesn't like to be as cold as much, so he doesn't like to come out on the ice as much sturgeon spearing. But Riker's right there for everything.
Have they ever been there when you speared one or seen one speared?
I'm like never in the shack. I'm always by other people. But I see my mom spear one.
Yeah, he was with my wife. Got a poigan tag not last year, 2 years ago, and Riker was with when that one came in.
That's
cool. He actually gaffed it. He gaffed it, which was he was pretty pumped about that.
Nice.
But I mean, he's been pretty lucky when it comes to sturgeon spearing, and he's been out there, but he likes to shack hop.
I always do that. And
the social butterfly, so he just kind of mingles with everybody, and when I start hollering out the door, he'll come over and.
Well, last time I didn't even hear you.
He comes over and helps me throw it out on the ice.
Well, you got to see what everybody's got for snacks and sodas and all that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
You got to test the waters a little bit, keep things interesting.
I mean, and that's like another thing with that sturgeon, starting the sturgeon page, is when I started spearing, our group was very small. It was just family. And then it got down to just pretty much me and my dad and my sister. Then after the sturgeon page, started talking to some people, and now our group is like one guy that lives down in Oak Creek, another bunch of people that live way up north. They have a guy that comes over from Lower Michigan, like spears with us now.
Huh.
Well, it's pretty cool. I mean, I met so many different people now. It's just a fun camaraderie.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we should say, I don't know what it is off the top of my head. I don't know if you do. Otherwise, maybe we could look it up. We should tell everybody what the Facebook group is called in case they want to look into it.
It's just Sturgeon Spearing Buy, Sell, Trade Info.
There you go. Yeah, it's obviously, you don't want to have people in it who don't have the right intentions, but for anybody who is interested in sturgeon spearing and the culture around that and is active on Facebook, that is the premier sturgeon spearing Facebook group to get into. That's the one that everybody's going to be in, and that's where all the major stories are going to be shared. So we got to have at least one spearing story.
I would say probably my most memorable sturgeon spearing story would be the one with my brother-in-law. So we had poigan tags, and it was 2017, and I got my fish opening day, and my friend's dad got his. My cousin got his. All three of us got it opening day. Dang. My sister got hers the next day. brother-in-law was the only one that was left. And the time before that we had Poigan, he was the only one in the group that didn't spear a fish. For some reason, he doesn't ever want to sit with me in the shack. I don't know if I make him nervous or what. Everybody else likes to sit with me, but with him, so I told him, I'm like, we're gonna make a big move. We're gonna pull out to the spot. Said I speared it when I was a little kid with my dad, and said okay. So we right away in the morning we hooked the shack up before season, drag it out there. Ice is getting really, really bad. And drag it over there, cut in, start banking it in. I see a buddy that he lives on Poigan, was driving across. We waved him down, and he comes. He said he had to go do something, and he's like, I'll be back in a little bit. So we're sitting in the shack for like 2 hours. He comes over, and he's like, this is the spot where I spear with my family when we get a Poigan tag, right in this almost identical spot. He goes, we call it the one fish per day guaranteed spot.
Wow.
I'm like, thanks for jinxing us. We've been sitting here for hours now,
right.
And he's like, we always use a silver decoy right here in this spot. And I'm like, well, do you have anything silver? And he's like, I'll go look. And he goes into the truck and he comes back with a Diet Pepsi can, and he slams it quick. And he said, I got to go here. Throw this down the hole. And that was the first video that I had posted on the YouTube channel. The video starts, my brother-in-law just had tied the Diet Pepsi can on. So he literally just tied it on. He dropped it down. That's when the video starts. And he jigged it like 2 times. And this fish, it's 5 feet of water. You can see the ripples of the sand on the bottom.
Oh, man.
And the fish comes in like, it's probably 1.5 feet, 2 feet off bottom. Just comes sliding right in and bumps the soda can. I mean, it was just, it couldn't happen any better than that.
Man, that's so cool.
So speaking of filming, what's your setup look like in your shack? How are you running that all day long type thing? What camera are you using?
We've tried some different things. The GoPro on the head, GoPro on the chest. Now I run a mount right on the back side of the hole, and I also learned that the closer to the water, the better. If you put it up too high, you get too much background. So you try to keep it within like feet of the floor.
Sure.
Right,
okay.
Dead center in the hole. And I have I got one GoPro Hero 8, and then I have a Sony Action Cam that I also set up. And then I run like a power cord with a battery pack. And I know some guys will put the camera on loop, which I just run mine all day. I have a big memory card, and then run it all day. If nothing happens, delete it, start all over again in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty much identical to what we try and do with that. I think that's the best way to go. We haven't come up with anything better than that. It seems to work out all right.
Yeah.
And I mean, you guys have had quite a few sturgeon spearing videos there over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've been, like I said, we've been pretty lucky. I mean, for some reason, I don't know, with our hunting, a lot of the hunting videos, I wish we could have a little bit more content that goes into the video.
Yep.
It's a work in progress. It's tough being, I'm trying to get as much video as possible, as well as carry. My arms are full of everything else I got to carry out to a blind or set a blind up or get to a deer stand and try to do everything quietly. And then for some reason, that's always in my head that's the last thing that matters. Is as much as I want to get it on video, that's the last thing that matters is the video content.
Right.
I'd rather have, I want to get it on video, but I really want my kids to just experience it. And if we get it, we get it. Yeah,
that's a good attitude to have. I mean, because you have to do what you need to do to put yourself in a position to be successful anyways. If you just focus too much on the filming and then you lose sight of all the other things that can make you a successful hunter, and then you don't have that success anyways, then what is there to film in the first place? So that's definitely the right attitude to have there, especially with kids. And being the dad, like you said, you're gonna have your arms full. You got to be carrying all of the gear and making sure everybody gets situated. So I totally get all that, man. So that was some of the hard water fishing a little bit, or spearing, I should say. But another one of the main videos that I've seen quite a bit on your channel is the muskie fishing. And this is also quite alluring to me because over the past couple of years, my family, my dad and my brother especially, have really tried to catch muskies. And we're not very good at it. I've never caught one. My brother's never caught one. My dad's caught very few. It's one of those things. I think you just really got to know what you're doing. Really, learn from your mistakes. And we just haven't really found our rhythm yet there. But you guys seem to also have some pretty good luck out on the water there.
Yeah, it's a lot of. I spent a lot of years on trying before I got my first one. Actually, when I first started muskie fishing, I never thought that I was actually going to catch one. I went like 2 years without ever even seeing one, and I'm like, why am I doing this? When I first started, I caught my first muskie in De Pere walleye fishing on an ultralight. It was like a 38.5-incher.
Dang. I feel like a lot of people have a similar situation. They catch their first one on accident.
And that's what kind of triggers it, is when you catch one on accident.
Yeah.
When my sister met my brother-in-law Craig, he's a muskie fisherman. He's a muskie nut, and I told him, I'm like, hey man, we're walleye guys. Me, my family, my buddies, we're all walleye guys. You're never gonna convert us. And I caught that one in De Pere, and I'm like, I could probably buy a cheap rod and reel combo and a couple baits, and and then when I caught my first one, like my second one, the first one actually muskie fishing, boat side, that was it. I 20 rod and reel combos later, and probably $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 in muskie baits.
Yeah, holy cow!
And that's just in baits, not everything else that goes with the boat and
everything.
It's another one of those addictions. It's just like, you got to dive into it. And I have muskie baits that I've never even thrown. It's another one of those things where I have to have some like same thing with like the sturgeon decoys. Like, oh, I really think that's cool. I really want that. And then it sits in a box. I throw the same 10 baits over and over again.
Yeah. Well, and you said, it could be 6, 7, 8,000, but that's probably like 200, give or take, lures.
Yeah.
They're just expensive by nature.
Yeah, they are. Yep.
So speaking of lures, you guys have done a couple YouTube videos with some TR custom lures, and so I'm wondering if you guys can tell us a little bit about those videos, a little bit about some background there.
So TR custom lures, it started, my wife's a kindergarten teacher, and it started, there was a girl in her class, Mara, that came in and brought in a bait for show and tell. And said, oh, my dad makes muskie baits. And my wife's like, oh, I really like, maybe you think your dad could maybe make a bait for my husband for Father's Day? He goes, well, I'll have to ask him. So I ended up getting, he never, Tim Raditz, he's like, I never thought that, his mindset was, I never really thought people would want to buy my baits. But he always made baits for himself and his family. But he made me made me a topwater, and it's Happy Father's Day, love you, Daddy, and it was topwater, and I didn't throw it for a long time. After I got it, it sat in my box because I didn't want to wreck it.
Right.
But that bait, if I showed you it now, you would never even. There's barely paint left on it. Tim has fixed it for me 15 times because it's got completely destroyed by fish.
I broke it last year.
Riker broke it last year.
Oh man.
But so Tim and Michelle are my best friends now that I would have never met if it wasn't for my wife having their daughter, and we have a thing in common to meet each other with muskie fishing.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Now I probably have 50 of his baits now.
Oh.
Like everything that I kind of like one of the prototype helpers on that,
Sure. Yep.
So anything that he's got new and literally any idea that I have that I want for a bait, he'll put together for me. Like just a great friend, great family, very, very great family. They're just down to earth people, and I just like it's just a great company.
Yeah, man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, do you know off the top of your head how many you've caught? Because I don't musky fish at all, but I know people who do. They usually know how many you catch because it's not like a real occurrence where you're catching tons and tons. So,
how many muskies total I've ever caught?
Yeah, if you know, or have you caught a ton of them?
I've caught quite a few now. I don't really know anymore.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those sports that, like I said, I've had some crazy days, and then I've had some not so crazy months or years. And it goes in streaks.
Right. So then,
I mean, you'll go for months and not even see a fish, and then, I mean, I don't want to keep telling you all kinds of stories, but when Raiden was 4. I told my wife, I feel like it's a musky feeling day. I just want to go out and fish for a little bit. I'll bring Raiden with me. And so I sat him in the boat, gave him my phone, play a game. This was before I had any kind of a battery pack to keep my phone charged in the boat. I didn't have a charger in the boat. And I caught 5 muskies in like an hour and a half.
Oh, man.
Best muskie fishing day I probably have ever had. And one of them was over 40. At that time, I caught my personal best that day with him. I was netting them all myself because he was 4, and
right.
He obviously wasn't gonna. And then he, then it was, oh, the phone's dead, Daddy. We gotta go home. I'm like, oh man, this is the best muskie fishing day of my life, and I have to go home. But
So now the kids are involved, though. Now, obviously, right? They're catching fish.
Oh, Raiden got his first. Was your first legal last year, and he actually ended up getting 2 legals on the same day. So a legal would be 34 inches
Gotcha.
by muskie terms.
Okay.
And then he got a 41 3/4.
That's not bad.
It's a good day.
On a TR Customs topwater.
There you go.
Wasn't that the one that Riker didn't catch a fish on?
Nope, that's a different one.
So,
but
obviously, when it comes to fishing, and especially musky fishing, it could even translate over to bass and northern fishing too, but there's always going to be those times where they might follow your bait, kind of come up to the boat, or maybe they're barely hooked and they get off right at the boat or right at the net. Do you have any horror stories of fish that you've lost that just barely got away?
Yeah, was a pretty decent sized tournament that I fished with Riker when he was 7 or 8. 8, and ended up having the fish that if it would have been first, it would be first or second place, depending on how big the fish was. And I hooked it, and I had him grab the net, and I'm reeling it in, and he went to net it, and the hooks got caught in the front of the net.
Oh man!
The fish thrashed off, like right at both sides. We seen it laying there on top of the water, and it thrashed off and went, and we lost it.
Dang. Yeah, that's never fun. Doesn't matter how big it is. That's not what you want to happen.
Yeah. The following year, though, same tournament, he ended up netting my inland personal best, which was 49 and 7/8.
That's a good fish, for sure.
Yeah, it didn't break the 50 mark. Everybody, that's the magic number. But we were in a tournament, and you had to put the fish on a measuring board.
Yep.
And take a picture of it for the tournament. And Riker was so short that he couldn't get the phone up high enough to take the picture of the whole fish. So we had to call another boat over to come and take the picture for us.
Man,
we ended up winning it that year, and we had big fish. So
nice.
I don't remember what he spent his part of the earnings on, but I think it was a gun.
Yeah.
I think it was his 20 gauge.
There you go.
He ended up with his winnings.
So what's your good fishing story then, where maybe things get a little bit exaggerated, they get out of hand? Every fisherman's got their fishing story.
I don't know if we have any good ones, do we?
I don't believe that.
Oh, well, I don't know if does they have to be musky fishing?
No, it can be any kind of fishing.
Well, I was kind of
technically we can kind of tie all into muskie, sturgeon. We were all trolling for muskies, and we hooked into a really big fish. I mean, it was peel and drag out trolling, and I handed it to Raiden, which he was 7 at the time, and he's trying to reel this fish in, and the waves and everything, and somehow or another we had 9 rods out trolling, and we had 9 rods tangled.
No way.
Yeah, it was one got caught in the motor, so I had to shut the boat off.
Oh, jeez.
It was completely tangled, and he ends up getting, we finally get the fish in that was wrapped in, I don't remember how many lines it was wrapped in, and I netted it, and it was a 59-inch sturgeon.
Probably weighed more than he did.
Oh yeah, it was a pretty cool. I got the picture of him sitting next to it. It was pretty big.
That's awesome.
Sweet. That is pretty
cool. Fun. He was pumped. He didn't care if it was a muskie or not. He was just pumped at how big the fish was.
That's got to be just as cool to catch a sturgeon hook and line like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing we've never caught. I think my dad maybe has caught a sturgeon, probably on accident in a similar situation there, but no, I've never hooked into one like that. I think it'd be fun. Yeah. I know a lot of people
they
do
fight.
that. Oh yeah, I believe it. They fight plenty just when you spear them and they're on a line like that.
Right.
Oh man. Well, yeah. I mean, so you said you originally were starting off kind of as a diehard walleye fisherman. Is that still something that you put a lot of time into?
So I like I said, I grew up on Winnebago, Wolf River fisherman my entire life. So I caught a lot of walleyes on the Wolf, and now since then I moved farther west. I live over more towards Stevens Point area.
Okay.
So now I fish the Wisconsin River more, which River and Wisconsin are river like apples to oranges when it comes to the way the fish, what the fish bite on, the presentation. I mean, they're complete opposites.
Right.
So, yeah, I try. It's just we're into so many different things that it's tough to like one out to do all the time anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, turkeys take up most of our time now in the spring.
Yeah.
Along with the boys' sports, and then the fall it's bow hunting and muskie fishing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess we can't wrap this out without maybe hearing a little bit about some deer hunting. I mean, this is buck fever after all. I'm sure you got a decent deer story. How about the one that Riker shot that's bigger than yours? We hear that one?
Yeah, we had that buck on camera quite often, but it kept giving us the runaround, and then our cameras kind of went completely dry, and we were gonna kind of give up, for that bow hunting before gun hunting, and then Riker talked me into going out one afternoon and about I don't know if you guys have ever hunted over a deer decoy or not.
Once or twice.
Haven't.
Yeah.
I've had amazing luck with them. I mean, literally I think every buck that I've had come out, it's come into the deer decoy. Every buck that I've seen, you need to. It's more of a field setting,
okay,
type of a decoy.
Yep.
But we had it set up and sitting there, and Riker was looking at a doe that was probably 3 miles away in the binoculars with the way the fields are set up. And I looked over and I saw this buck standing there, and I grunted one time, and it came in on a string all the way in, got to about, I don't know, 15, 20, probably 20 yards, made a scrape on the ground, all puffed up.
There was one twig in the way that I would have messed up.
So he waited and waited and waited, and then he told me before we even got out there, he says that I messed up the year before and tried stopping a deer, and it didn't stop in his lane. So he's like, I'm just going to stop it myself, Dad, okay? Okay. So he stops it.
I didn't think it heard me.
Yeah, it stopped. He shot. It was perfect heart shot. It ran 30 yards and tipped over.
That's
it's just like, yeah. But
nice.
So it was, yeah. It was a very nice buck.
That's pretty sweet, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know we could sit around and talk hunting and fishing and spearing probably all night long, but I know we gotta get this thing wrapped up here pretty quick. But is there any other big stories you want to share, or you want to just save it for another time?
You'd save it for another time. I'd like to do this again sometime.
Absolutely.
Sounds good to us.
Anytime. So if people want to check out your channel, support you guys, what's the best way for them to do that?
We have Ahrens Boys Outdoors on Facebook and Ahrens Boys Outdoors on YouTube. And then, like you said, for the sturgeon spearing buy, sell, trade info on Facebook as well. The boys absolutely love. I mean, literally every day we go on just to check to see if we got any views or any new subscribers or anybody commented on anything. We try to get as much stuff out there. I mean, we don't always have the longest content but we try to get something out there at least once a week.
Right.
Just showing, it's nothing, just showing what we do as a family and getting the kids outdoors. Because, I mean, that's the biggest thing. I just, like I said, I don't even try to hunt anymore. I just do it. The thrill of watching my kids grow up in the outdoors, and that thrill of watching them shoot a deer or shoot a turkey or it's like nothing you'll ever experience.
Right. Yeah. So. At a certain point, it starts to outweigh shooting one yourself.
Right. Yep. Same thing with fishing. I mean, it's so cool. I can't even explain it.
Yeah, 100%. So in the next couple weeks, then people could probably expect some turkey content, and then I would assume eventually we'll be getting into some fishing, right?
Oh, yeah. Riker and I went out with the DNR last Sunday. We netted, did fike nets with the DNR, so that was kind of cool. It unfortunately cold and rainy, so we didn't get that much. We didn't get that much video because of that.
Right.
But we did get some, so I'm going to try to do that. And I have some cool muskie footage from last fall. I do some fun things in the fall with muskies with some people, so I got some of that still coming up.
Sweet, man. Well,
yeah, like I said, we'll transition out of turkeys here, and then we'll switch over to muskie fishing, and be pretty much what we'll be after for the next few months until bow hunting starts.
Yeah, I know we're looking forward to it, and we'll be keeping up with you guys and looking forward to seeing all those videos as they come out and hearing the stories and everything. So, yeah, it should be a good couple of months coming up here. Getting out of the winter, getting into spring and summer. It's always exciting, and fall's going to be here before you know it.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on here tonight. It was a blast, and
we appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Looking forward to doing this again sometime.
Sounds good.
Well, guys, yeah, make sure you go and check out all of these things that we've plugged here, especially Ahrens Boys Outdoors on YouTube, and hit that subscribe button. I know, just like us, that every subscriber counts, and it's always fun to watch that number climb. So if you guys like our content, there's a good chance you probably like their content too. They do a lot of similar stuff, and also they're much more successful muskie fishermen than we are, and turkey hunters, and probably sturgeon spearers too. So they've got a lot of good content out there. So definitely you guys are going to want to make sure you go and check that out. Once again, thank you guys for being here. And
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.